Why open floor plans made offices worse. This is the Chimp. The Chimp is wearing headphones. The headphones are not playing anything. The Chimp has had these headphones on for 4 hours. There's no music, there's no podcast, there's no audio of any kind. The headphones are not a listening device, they are a wall. The Chimp used to have an actual wall. It was made of fabric-covered particle board and it was 140 centimeters tall. And he did not appreciate it at the time. Nobody appreciated it at the time. Everybody appreciates it now. 18 months ago, this office had walls. They were not good walls. They were beige. They were slightly wobbly. One of them had a coffee stain shaped vaguely like a duck that 3 separate employees had independently named. The duck is gone now. The walls came down in a single weekend. This is the bear. The bear is the manager who approved the renovation. The bear stood in the empty room on Monday morning with his arms crossed and a genuine, uncomplicated feeling of pride, because the bear believed he had just done something good. He had read an article. The article said that removing walls increases collaboration. The article had a photograph of some very happy-looking animals sitting on a beanbag laughing at a laptop. Nobody in this office has ever laughed at a laptop. But the bear looked at that photograph and he thought, that could be us. The renovation cost a considerable amount of money and took out 11 walls, 4 doors, and the duck. What happened next has been studied. In 2018, 2 researchers at Harvard, Bernstein and Stephen Turban, ran an experiment that nobody had run properly before. 2 Fortune 500 companies were about to knock down their office walls. The researchers got there first. They fitted employees with something called a sociometric badge. It is a device worn around the neck that records who you talk to, when, for how long, how you move, and how you position your body while doing it. They ran it for 3 weeks before the walls came down. Then they ran it for 3 weeks after. The prediction was straightforward. Remove the barriers, get more conversation. Face-to-face interaction dropped by roughly 70%. Not 7, 70. Meanwhile, instant messaging went up 67%. Email volume went up 56%. The employees did not stop communicating, they just stopped doing it out loud. They were sitting close enough to touch each other, and they had started typing instead. The bear does not know about this study. The bear does know that the office got quieter after the renovation, and he has interpreted this as focus. It is not focus. There are 2 separate things happening, and they arrived from completely different directions. The first one is about sound. This is sheep number 1. Sheep number 1 is trying to read a contract. It is 9 pages long.
She is on page 2. She has been on page 2 for 20 minutes. Behind her, somebody is having a phone call about a delivery that went to the wrong address. To her left, 2 colleagues are discussing whether a particular restaurant is overrated. Somewhere to her right, a printer is having what can only be described as an episode. Sheep number 1's brain is not designed to ignore intelligible speech. Nobody's is. Overhearing a conversation you can actually understand is one of the most reliably distracting things that can happen to a working brain, and the research on this is not subtle. A large analysis of survey data for more than 42,000 office workers published in the Journal of Environmental Psychology found that enclosed private offices outperformed open-plan layouts across most measures of environmental quality, acoustics and privacy especially. The benefits of easier interaction did not make up for it. Field research has found the performance gap directly. In one study, moving workers from an open area with no noise restrictions into individual working rooms improved performance on a concentration-demanding task by nearly 22%. 22% is not a rounding error. 22% is a person's afternoon. So sheep number 1 puts on headphones. And here's the part that matters. The headphones do not just block the printer. They block everybody. They are indiscriminate. There is no setting for block the restaurant conversation but let through the colleague who needs to ask me something. The headphones are a blunt instrument, and she has been holding them up all day. That is the first mechanism. Noise pushes people into hiding. The second mechanism has nothing to do with sound at all. This is sheep number 2. Sheep number 2 needs to tell a colleague that his section of the report is wrong. Not catastrophically wrong, just wrong enough that somebody has to say it. In the old office, this was a 30-second conversation held next to a beige wall of no architectural merit. In the new office, saying it out loud means saying it in front of 9 other animals, 2 of whom are on the same project, one of whom is that colleague's actual friend, and one of whom is the bear. So sheep number 2 does not say it out loud. Sheep number 2 types it, carefully, then deletes a sentence, then adds the word just, then adds a small exclamation mark to make it friendlier, then reads it back 4 times. The original 30-second conversation is now an 11-minute writing exercise, and the feedback has been softened to the point where the colleague reads it and concludes that everything is basically fine. The Harvard researchers noticed exactly this. When the wall came down, employees became more reluctant to raise sensitive issues or give negative feedback in front of colleagues. This is not a noise problem. Headphones do not fix it. Better acoustics do not fix it. This is an audience problem.
There is an old idea about this that predates the office entirely. In the 18th century, a philosopher named Jeremy Bentham designed a prison called the Panopticon. The idea was a circular building where a single guard in the center could potentially see into every cell. And, this was the clever part, the prisoners could never tell whether the guard was actually looking. Bentham's insight was that you do not need to watch people. You only need them to believe they might be watched. They will do the rest themselves. Nobody in this office is being watched. The bear is not monitoring anyone. The bear is, at this exact moment, trying to remember the password for a system he uses twice a year. But every animal on this floor is sitting in a room where they could be seen at any moment by anyone, and they have all quietly adjusted. So there are 2 mechanisms arriving from 2 completely different directions. Noise drives people to withdraw physically. Exposure drives people to withdraw socially, and they both end in exactly the same place, a silent room full of animals sending each other messages. The bear walks through this room twice a day and sees a focused, quiet, harmonious team. He is looking at 70% fewer conversations than he had 18 months ago, and he has no way of knowing it, because a room that has stopped talking and a room that is concentrating look completely identical from the doorway. That is the genuinely difficult part of this. The failure is invisible. It looks like success. There is one more thing worth mentioning about this office. 6 weeks ago, somebody wheeled a large potted plant into the middle of the floor. Nobody remembers who. Nobody has claimed responsibility. Within a fortnight, 3 more plants appeared, then a coat rack, positioned at an angle that serves no coat-related purpose, then a whiteboard on casters, parked in a spot where nobody has ever written on it. The bear thinks the office is being decorated. The office is not being decorated. The office is rebuilding the walls out of whatever it can find. Nobody planned this. Nobody discussed it. The animals in this room are, without ever mentioning it to each other, slowly reassembling the exact thing that was removed, 1 plant at a time, at roughly 40 times the original cost. The bear watered one of the plants last Tuesday. Drop a comment with the thing your office got rid of that everyone secretly wanted back. The best ones go in the next video. Subscribe if you want more of these.